Jace LeJeune here, Gridiron Football, here with Will Harper, also one of our interns here at Gridiron Football, covering the Woodlawn Panthers.
Yes, sir.
The Woodlawn Panthers are obviously a very talented team. We talked about it a whole lot with their guys, and so far you've been around Marcus, you've been around the team. So far, I know the Panthers 0-2 right now, but it's tough when you play starting off. You gotta play two really good football teams.
Some amazing teams early on, but I mean they've got more really good teams coming down the line. So the only thing that can do is help them. It's not going to hurt them to already have some of these tough games like that under their belt, and there's really no other way to go but up from there.
Well, yeah, the schedule's going to get tougher, as we know. They have EDY, I believe, this week.
Yes.
And after that, you got a couple more non-district opponents, but then you go into this SEC West of a district when you have to play Catholic High and Zachary.
Some of those big schools like that.
Yep. So in order to keep up with the Woodlawn Panthers, make sure to keep up with Will as he previews the matchups over the week. He has a game recap. We will have the coach's corner this time with Marcus as well. And so y'all get a really good inside scoop on the Woodlawn Panthers this year. Also, there's going to be some other articles on the website. I know that you're covering Texas.
Covering some Texas schools. I'm going to start going down now and doing some of the Southern Alabama schools and stuff like that too. And so a little bit of those areas.
So make sure to keep up with Will and all his work with us. He's doing a great job for us at Gridiron Football. So make sure you keep up with his posts all throughout the week. And then Thursday and Friday, it's all about those Woodlawn Panthers.
All about Woodlawn.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of Woodlawn, and speaking of really the state of Louisiana, this is the second straight week that myself and Andy Bryson started this from Gridiron Football, and that's the Louisiana Player of the Week. And last week we had a freshman running back, Kevon Johnson, was actually our Louisiana Player of the Week for week number 1. So it was crazy with the numbers that he put up last week. Now we're going to count you down for week number 2. Keep in mind, all these nominations right here, the 7 names that we'll give to you, those have been all submitted by these coaches. For all the high school coaches have submitted these names. So coaches, well, PSA to y'all out there, if you want your player mention in here for Player of the Week, because not only we mentioned the Player of the Week, we mentioned other performances too that really stood out, and we'll play those players' highlights too. So make sure you fill out that form that I email you later in the week. You'll also get a text from me too. So there's no excuse, coaches.
Help your players out.
Help your players out, like Will said, because either way, you're going to get the message to fill out that form if you have a player that you felt like deserves the opportunity based off his play on the football field. So, Will, we're going to count down. We have, I believe, 7 names.
7 of them.
So 7 coaches have submitted these players, and we rank them from 7 to 1. So, Will, who is number 7?
So, number 7, start our list off here. We got Jaylen Domingo from Como. He's a senior wide receiver.
Yeah, so Jaylen Domingo, this is a guy we probably could have put on last week. He had 3 catches for 132 yards and a touchdown in week 1. And so he follows that up with a 5-catch performance for 108 yards and a touchdown. This is a guy that looks the part at receiver, 6'4", 188 pounds.
Big.
Runs a 4.5 40. So even though it was a loss this week to Lafayette, still a great individual performance by Jaylen Domingo with 5 catches for 108 yards and a touchdown. And right now at LSU, there's a receiver from Como that's been pretty good as well, and that's Malik Neighbors. So they got some good receivers at Como.
So you know they can produce.
They definitely can produce at the position. Will, who is number 6 on our list?
So number 6 on our list, we got Tylan Cooper, the senior wide receiver out of Eunice.
And Tylan Cooper is a player when I just joined Gridiron Football and joined Andy Bryson that I've interviewed personally. Very impressed with this young man. And when he went to the media event held at St. Edmunds High School, and he had a great performance this past week as well. And Eunice is a team that doesn't really throw the football a whole lot, but when they do, they're going to Tylan Cooper. 5 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns off of those 5 catches in a 39-14 win over Jennings. And that performance helped him to get an offer. He just got his first college offer from Seminary College. So congratulations, Tylan. And that performance gets you on this list. Congratulations, Tylan. Now, who's next on the list?
All right, going up to number 5 here, we got Jayden Paul. He is a safety, a senior out of Plaquemine.
Yeah, we'll go to the defensive side of the football, Will, with Jayden Paul. Yeah, change up a little bit. It's not just offense. We recognize defensive players too. Anybody that has a great performance, and Jayden Paul certainly did. 6 tackles, 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. Had a 20-yard pick six, had a 40-yard pick six, and also added in a kick return for 39 yards. So Jayden Paul did a little bit of everything for the Green Devils in a 44-14 win over McKinley Panthers. And 2 of those touchdowns came off of Jayden Paul on defense. Very impressive. Yeah. So, number 4, it's a very familiar name in the Baton Rouge area. Who is it?
We got Micah Johnson, linebacker, tight end, out of Parkview Baptist.
Yeah, so Micah Johnson is a player that is one of the most slept-on players when it comes to Baton Rouge. So he's a linebacker, tight end, a guy that plays both ways for the Parkview Baptist Eagles. And defense was when he made his name this past week. 13 tackles, had 1 interception return, for a 51-yard touchdown. This is a guy that's getting offered by Northwestern State, Southeastern, Nichols, pretty much a lot of the Louisiana schools is getting offered by. Michael Johnson is a very special player. If you haven't heard his name, keep an eye on Michael Johnson. You'll hear him by now. So one of the best players in the Baton Rouge area makes your list, and that's another defensive player. So now we go inside our top 3.
Yep, coming into the top 3 here, we're going to go ahead and start off with Gage Hill. He is a senior fullback and defensive end from East Beauregard, kind of a position you don't hear a whole lot anymore.
Right, you don't. And a fullback, linebacker, and a two-way star for East Beauregard. And I really consider them even playing number 1. These 3 guys I consider actually being the number 1 spot, and especially what Gage did both sides of the football. You don't really see that a lot in today's age, playing both ways, but he excelled in both ways. 24 carries for 280 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns on offense, and then also he had 8 tackles on defense in a 66-42 win over Pickering. Gage Hildreth, 230 pounds, 6'2", a guy in the area that maybe you overlook because East Beauregard's maybe not the household name, but you have to keep an eye on Gage Hildreth and what he's doing right now. Crazy. Almost 300 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns, and also he's playing the entire game. Very impressive. Almost had him at number 1, but there's 2 guys that were absolutely phenomenal, and that's why they were ahead of Gage this week.
Yep, I understand. So we're going to go ahead and move on to here. We got Jaden Edwards. He's a senior running back out of Captain Shreve.
Up in North Louisiana. Actually, the top 2 guys are from North Louisiana compared to last week. We had a South Louisiana guy at number 1. So you think that Captain Shreve relied a lot on Jayden Edwards. He had 39 carries. So 39 carries for 210 yards and 3 touchdowns. And they played a really good football team in Calvary Baptist, who's been a state champion at the Division IV private level. 27-14 is your final score. And how about Captain Shreve starting off at a 2-0? Very impressive start under first-year head coach Adam Kirby. 210-yard performance, 3 touchdowns. Not bad for the Captain Shreve senior running back who takes our number 2 spot. And for our number 1 spot, Will?
We got number 1. We got Carldell Sirmons. He is a junior running back and wide receiver out of Ouachita.
And I'm going to explain why Ouachita junior running back receiver Carldell Sirmons is number 1 on our list. He had 26 carries for 269 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also, he had an interception on defense. He had 2 catches for 12 yards, had 4 kickoff returns for 96 yards, and a 43-29 win over Neville. Neville's one of the top teams in the entire state in Class 4A, one of the most historic programs in terms of state of Louisiana, and this junior running back receiver did a little bit of everything.
Did it all. Swiss Army knife in that game a little bit there.
Swiss Army knife. He's already been offered by Grambling. This is a junior. Keep in mind he still has another year left, but Carldell Sirmons is definitely a player to keep an eye on in the near future, and he stuns us with an incredible performance with 4 touchdowns, 269 yards, and an interception. So that is our list this week for the Louisiana Players of the Week, brought to you by Gridiron Football. Congratulations to Carldell. We're actually going to do an interview with him later this week on his performance. So check that out at Gridiron Football. Hope you enjoyed this Gridiron Football Louisiana Player of the Week. So week number 2, that honor goes to Carldell Sirmons from Ouachita High School. Now, coaches, once again, as I mentioned,
Help them out.
if you have a player that you feel like for week number 3 is deserving of the performance for Player of the Week, yeah, make sure to fill in the ballot that we'll email you by the end of this week. You'll also get a text from me too. So make sure to send in your nomination. Our deadline is at 6 o'clock this Sunday. So 6 o'clock Sunday is when they should send in their player nomination. Will, anything else you want to add? Anything going on for you for Gridiron Football? Anything they should keep an eye out for whether it's the Woodlawn Panthers or just your stories this week? Give us a sneak preview.
Yeah, I got a couple stories coming out. They're going to kind of be some spotlights to some schools that probably nobody has heard of up in North Texas, up around the Panhandle area a little bit. So we're kind of going for some smaller schools up there that got a couple schools that have duos that are led the state and the region in rushing and receiving and passing touchdowns and yards and everything. So you got some really good schools like that. And of course, Woodlawn's always got a lot going on. They're just a fun team to watch with some great players, some big-time commits for some big schools. And then even on the other side of the ball when they're playing, I mean, some of the people they're playing against are just a lot of fun to watch. So it's a lot of big games, a lot of fun to go to, a lot of fun to be around, and a lot of fun to read on our website after it all gets finished. So
yep, that's right.
Be sure and check that out too.
Make sure to check that out. The website is gridironfootballusa.com. And yeah, we definitely go into Texas. We go all over the country. Actually, Andy Bryson was just in Dallas this past weekend, checking out a couple of teams out in Texas, including also St. Edmund as well. Checked out the Blue Jays from Louisiana. And there's a lot of people from Dallas that definitely heard Gridiron Football and what Andy Bryson has built. So hope y'all enjoy this. Make sure to keep up with everything that's going on this week, whether it's Will and all of our other interns are writing stories this week. Also, Wednesday, make sure to check it out on YouTube, which is The Chase with Jace. And actually, this segment's going to be on The Chase with Jace as well. So, myself and Marcus Randall get to talk a lot about the Southern win, which I'm sure he is really happy about, considering his brother played quarterback at Southern.
Family rivalry.
A little family rivalry, and I know that he's happy that his Tigers went up on top. So we'll talk about the Southern game, huge SEC game this week against Mississippi State. We'll see where the Tigers really stack up this week, this Saturday, against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. So check out all my LSU coverage this week. We will have some Louisiana High School articles by me. So check all that out at gridironfootballusa.com. And then also one more thing, we announced our bowl game, or where the bowl game is going to be.
So, we have the location.
Yep, it is signed, sealed, and delivered. It is going to be not in Louisiana for the first time ever. It's going to be in Orange Beach, Alabama. Actually, last week I invited a player from Central and did a video on camera inviting him to the bowl game. So we're going to do a couple more of those, so stay tuned. We got a lot of content for you at Gridiron Football. Will, thanks for joining in with me today.
I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
First show, all that fun stuff. So.
You did a good job, Will. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure we'll get Will back on again, as well as some of our interns, get to introduce them to you as well. But in the meantime, this is Jace LeJeune saying sign off. Congratulations to Carldell Sirmons, our Louisiana Gridiron Football Player of the Week.